Thanks, Peter. Well, former Governor Martin O'Malley of Maryland, the latest Democrat to throw his hat into the 2016 ring, announcing his run on the Democratic side yesterday in Baltimore. What's his message, and do voters like it? We bring in now our old friend, pollster Dr. Frank Luntz. Frank, it's great to see you this morning. First, I want to ask you, though, about the passing of Beau Biden. You taught him at Penn when you were a professor there. What's your reaction to the news of his death?
He was a special guy. I mean, he was a very decent, very humane individual, not typical of politicians today. He had a big heart. He hated cable news, all of cable news, because he thought it was too confrontational. He wanted to talk everything out, and he lived the idea of what you say impacts how people feel about you. He was very concerned about bringing people together. He was very concerned about breaking the traditional bonds of partisanship. We don't have people like him anymore, and my heart goes out to his family. Because
pretty crushing.
It's irreplaceable. Special man.
Thanks for that. So Martin O'Malley, former governor of Maryland, former mayor of Baltimore, has announced he's running apparently to the left of Hillary Clinton. And in his announcement, he took a shot at Goldman Sachs and basically made the point that his CEO of that company would be happy with either Jeb Bush or Hillary Clinton positing himself as the outsider, the economic populist. Is that message going to resonate, do you think?
The challenge for him is that he's got a record that has been destroyed by what has happened in that city. He's very articulate, and the dials that we have done of him has been really effective.
Yeah.
And people like what he has to say. But over the last 6 weeks, all of that, frankly, has gone to hell. Because you look at a city that's torn, destroyed by racial violence, by economic inequality, and I don't see how that message works for him until that city heals itself.
But what about the state? I actually kind of thought he was a decent mayor of Baltimore. He was an appallingly unpopular governor of Maryland, though. It's one of the most democratic states. And they elected as his successor, Larry Hogan, a Republican. What does that tell you?
Well, it tells you that Maryland wanted a difference. They wanted a change in that current direction. Here's a guy who understands politics. He's very smart at it. He's a good strategist. And he knows how to communicate it. And he's very pleasant. The problem is that they will, regardless of whether he was a good mayor or not, they are still going to hold him accountable for what's happening in Baltimore. And I don't know how he gets out of that.
Interesting. Here's the message that I alluded to at the beginning. This is from his announcement. I think it's kind of resonant. Here he is.
Recently, the CEO of Goldman Sachs let his employees know that he'd be just fine with either Bush or Clinton. I bet he would. Well, I've got news for the bullies of Wall Street. The presidency is not a crown to be passed back and forth by you between two royal families. It is a sacred trust to be earned from the American people.
I don't know. A lot of people are mad at the establishment. That doesn't seem like a crazy message to me in this season.
It's not a crazy message. The problem is that for Democrats, Bill Clinton was a very positive president.
Right.
He had a great record. And all you have to do is go back to 2012, and I saw your eyes flash. Wow, Luntz has great record. You watch what he said in 2012 for Barack Obama. That's one of the best political speeches of modern times. It changed how people evaluated Barack Obama. If this were a Bill Clinton election, he'd be doing quite well. The fact that it's Hillary Clinton, nobody wants that. Nobody wants her alternative. But I'm not convinced that in a Democratic primary, that message is going to take him more than 10 or 15% of the vote.
Really? So you think Hillary Clinton can... I mean, Democrats are mad about wealth distribution. They're mad about declining wages in the middle class. They're in a populist mood in economics. You think Hillary, who took more money from Wall Street than any person in the Senate when she served there, can carry that message more effectively than him? Here's
the amazing thing. Democrats seem to be prepared to ignore everything that she has done.
That's such a good point.
So how do you hold her accountable? She's the Teflon. Nothing sticks.
Yeah, no, that is a wise and sad point. Frank Luntz, thanks for joining us this morning.
Pleasure.
Thanks to see you.